VeganFi. Email, texting, Twitter, Facebook, MySpace, and YouTube. These are all part of the new, wonderful, and ever-changing ways that we communicate with each other electronically. Each has its own culture and set of rules. In one sense, the world has never been more interconnected. And yet, this interconnectedness, while wonderful, hasn't come without a cost. I did quite a bit of my own research on the matter, as well as studied Sherry Turkle. She is the Abby Rockefeller Mawes Professor of the Social Studies of Science and Technology at MIT. She obtained a BA in Social Studies and later a PhD in Sociology and Personality Psychology at Harvard. She now focuses her research on psychoanalysis of human-technology interactions. She has written several books focused on the matter, especially in the realm of how people relate to computational objects. I propose, much like Sherry, that technology has actually become detrimental to our ability to create and maintain relationships of all kinds. The first issue comes with our ability to accurately relay messages through electronic mediums. When it comes to information, it works wonders, but when trying to convey emotions, it falls short. Emotion is not easily transmittable because it is part of our vocal tone and or other nonverbal communication, such as body language. This can make it hard for people to relate or connect with us emotionally. For example, in text we commonly write LOL, or laughing out loud. This may get the point across, but it will never have the same effect as real authentic human laughter. Or let's say a friend's grandpa has recently passed away. You text them to let them know how sorry you are, but it can never replace a hug. People tend to gravitate towards these methods of communication in stressful situations and or separate themselves from the situation entirely. Electronic mediums transport emotions so poorly compared to face-to-face interactions, many view it as a perfect way to send difficult messages. It blocks us from registering the negative emotional responses such messages entail. This provides the illusion that we're not really doing any harm. Unfortunately, this also means we actually don't transmit these messages with as much empathy, and often find ourselves sending a different message than we intended and breeding more confusion than we realized. While some people have a penchant for saying things in the electronic world that they would never say to people in person, because the person to whom they're saying it isn't physically present to display their emotional reaction. This is in part due to the fact that the part of us that processes emotions has been removed from the equation. When communicating electronically, it's as if we're drunk and either don't realize or don't care that words hurt people. This is especially troubling for a younger generation who have grown up with their culture or entire lives with this technology. With this graph, 49% of all teenage interactions are face-to-face, 33% are texting, the rest are social media, phone calls, online games, video chat, IMing, email, and Twitter. This leaves 43% of the total number being text-based methods. The other 9% are voice or video-based methods. The problem with this is that technology is addicting, which can affect adolescents to a greater extent than full-grown adults. The internet is the TV of the 21st century, an electronic drug that often yanks us away from the physical world. Like any addiction, the real cost of this to the truly addicted is the number and quality of our relationships with others. We may enjoy online relationships, using social media like Facebook and Twitter, for example, but the difference between the interactions with the people in the physical world and the electronic world is vast. As long as we expect no more from these online relationships than they can give, no good reason exists why we can't enjoy the power of social media. Otherwise, or the problem arises when we find ourselves subtly substituting electronic relationships for physical ones, or mistaking electronic relationships for physical ones. We may feel we've connected effectively with others online, but too much, and we may actually be creating a perfect storm for social isolation. Sherry Turkle said it best when she stated, "Those devices in our pockets that are so psychologically powerful that they don't only change what we do, but who we are." People text or email during corporate board meetings. They text and shop and go on Facebook during class and presentations. Actually, all meetings, matter of fact. People talk to me about the important skill of making eye contact while you're texting. Parents text and email at breakfast while their children complain about not having their parents' full attention. But these same children deny each other their full attention, and we even text at funerals. We remove ourselves from our grief and reverie and go into our phones. What does this matter? Because we're setting ourselves up for trouble. Trouble in how we relate to each other, but it is also how we relate to ourselves and our capacity for self-reflection. We're getting used to being alone together. People want to be with each other, but elsewhere, connected to all the places they want to be. They want to go to their board meeting, but they only want to listen to the bits that interest them. But you can end up hiding from each other. Even as we're all connected to each other, across the generations, I see that people can't get enough of each other, if and only if they have each other at a distance, in amounts they can control. It's called the Goldilocks effect. It is more or less that we like our people like we like our porridge. Not too far, not too close, just right. But all is not lost. Although technology has allowed us to become more connected, it has made us more inclined to hide from our problems. It makes us appear less empathetic, and on top of that, it's addicting. One way we combat this is by creating sacred spaces in our homes, areas that are technology-free zones, specifically made for face-to-face interactions. This is helpful because although internet communities / communications offer immediacy, convenience, and novelty, people tend to go out into the real world for more fulfilling and meaningful interactions. By creating these spaces, you have created a balance where these two worlds can coexist. The negative consequences avoid negative consequences or constant battles for supremacy. We will finally be able to connect without losing our connections.